Today's Trade Blast is brought to you once again by the coronavirus. Obviously, there's a Tesla's dropping 100 points a day as we go through this virus process, and one would have to say that it kind of makes sense in general. I had a conversation with one of our advisors yesterday, James Cofer from Cofer Enterprises, and one of the comments he made to me was, the big institutions are like tractor trailers on the road. They can kind of see things a little differently and from long distance. So you tend to be more successful when you understand you want to kind of get behind them and follow where they're going. And I'd have to say that, there are a lot of people taking profits off the table because folks are scared, and rightly so. The coronavirus seems to be the real deal, and the authorities seem to be only figuring out what to do at the end of it after a lot of people are infected rather than the beginning before they're infected. So it's a tough environment. This is also an interesting zone because from a trading standpoint, we had shared with you guys a couple of days ago that it made sense to look at doing a straddle because obviously if you did a straddle at any point in the last 3 days, you made a killing because one side of the straddle became zero and the other side of the straddle increased in value by 200 or 300%. So the question is kind of where are we now? My answer is we're on Friday, and as we know, the sort of negative hedge funds have the market on the run right now. So in theory, Tesla should drop below the next sort of 0 price point or 600 today in trading. And I don't see a whole bunch of stuff there to prevent it from happening because the people responding to the virus situation don't seem real organized, and therefore more people are getting infected and unexpectedly. So, I think that, I'd have to say that my bottom end for this whole thing is somewhere around 500, 550. And I just think that, as this thing is figured out and things get back to normal, I'm still expecting Tesla back up into the 700, 800, 900 zone after we stabilize over the next couple of months. So I think this would be a very, very hard time to be buying. But as we sort of get what we think is the near bottom of this, I think we're in a good situation. Another thing that came to mind for me was, and it seems to be coming to mind to a lot of people as we watch the markets, is this the end of civilization? I mean, everybody thought that we're just going to have this giant bomb that's going to hit, and then everybody's done because the two sides were warring. What if the end of civilization is, you have one or two viruses, they mutate, and then they simply consume large percentage of the population or all of it, and then everything has to start over again. Hopefully that's not the case, but wow, it just seems like the virus is mutating. It seems like it's spreading in ways unexpectedly. It also seems like people are making mistakes at critical points that facilitate an expansion of the disease across the globe. And without viruses or without medicines to address it, it seems to be able to be rampant and sort of take over a landmass rapidly. So again, we're hopeful that this can be finally put under control, but the authorities that we've seen in action don't seem to be sort of ready for prime time. And by the time they do get ready, it seems like things have run by. In particular, what came to mind is just that situation in Wuhan when it was discovered. Half the population of the city left before the quarantine started, and that resulted in the rest of China being affected. And then from there, many of those residents that were affected sort of carried those diseases that disease internationally. So it's a bridge under the water at this point, but wow, amazing. So the ones maybe a ray of good hope that we did see from Tesla is we have a friend in Sweden, his name is Donovan, and he's been sending me material on what sales look like for Tesla there. And, they're 3-week backlogged right now on orders for vehicles. And I surprisingly am sort of seeing the potential for it to be a good quarter for Tesla, because while sales may be off in China as people are sort of recovering themselves, they seem to be doing okay, not great, in other parts of the globe. And therefore, you have the potential for Tesla to deliver numbers while everybody else is getting smashed. So we look forward to providing more info on this. I still think some kind of a straddle makes sense, because I expect the stock to perhaps drop another 100 to 200 points and then start the slow but steady climb north as something is figured out. And I think that you could profit from this situation quite nicely. Thanks for taking time to join us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, macht's gut, au revoir, lehitraot, choda hafez. Have a great day, and thanks for taking time out for our trade blast. The one last thing that comes to mind is Mondays tend to be pretty wild, because you have a whole bunch of news over the weekend that drives what happens there. So, if you are going to put some puts in or you put some calls, today will be a crazy day as it's been for the whole week, but I think Monday will be particularly ballistic, good or bad, because you have a lot of pent-up news that has to come through the markets. And so we look forward to seeing sort of what happens at this point as well. And obviously we'll stay ahead of it and update you as we can. Have a great day, and bye for now.